8 years ago, I moved abroad, and for 5 of those years, I've lived alone. And in those 5 years, I managed to save $100,000. So I feel pretty qualified to talk a little bit about how to save money when living alone. And so today, I want to give you 10 tips off the top of my head on how to save money when living alone. Tip number one, don't drink. Just don't, right? In most restaurants, drinks are often the highest margin product. And so if you keep that in mind, if every time you go to a restaurant, you're like, what costs them the least and what are they marking up the most, don't order that. Drinking, especially as a habit, will end up costing you a lot of money. The same thing goes for don't smoke, right? Now, obviously these things are easier said than done, but depending on the people you hang out with and the places you go, your hobbies, it's very easy to not drink, at least not drink regularly. Tip number two, eat at home, especially for breakfast. So if you have a habit of waking up late and going to the nearest Starbucks and grabbing a coffee and a croissant, that's a really bad habit. It's gonna cost you 10, 15 bucks a day. Breakfast is very easy to prepare. You can prepare something the night in advance. As soon as you wake up, pop something in the toaster, brush your teeth, and then when you come out, eat whatever, right? Anything except for going out and spending 10 bucks on breakfast, please. Yeah? Tip number three, and this tip came because I lived abroad. You want to live like you're always ready to move. Imagine like if you sign a 2-year contract at work, right? I want you to imagine your life like this. You sign a 2-year contract and you want to imagine that after those 2 years, you're gone. You're going to a new country, you're going to a new city. So you know in your mind you have to move in 2 years. Are you really going to buy that new TV, right? Are you really gonna buy that new closet or table you've always wanted? Probably not. Like you'll find a way to live without those things because it's hard to move those things. And as a result, you end up spending a lot less money on things that maybe you didn't actually need. My fourth tip, think about whether you need something before you actually buy it. So for example, how I'm recording this video, there isn't enough light. So I literally have, let me show you. I literally have my monitor over there and giving me this blue light right here. And I'm literally just recording on my phone. Yeah, I didn't need to get another light, okay? And so think about in your own life, what are the things that you maybe just want but you don't really need, right? Think carefully. Do you actually need the thing before you buy it? Tip number five, a lot of the time we like to shortcut our way to success. If we're trying to invest our money, we like to go online, learn a few things, and we kind of want to make like 20% return per year. Or if we want to start some sort of side hustle and business, we also go and look online and maybe we go buy a course or something thinking that it will shortcut our way to success. Number five, I want you to think long term. All the money that I've lost during my 20s was because I did not think long term. I was not patient. I wanted something fast, quick, and easy. Life doesn't work like that. If you're unable to think long term, that will cloud your ability to make decisions, and you're going to make decisions that are not rational, that are high risk. And so if you're able to think long term, then you're able to be okay with it taking 10 years. And if it takes 10 years, it's still worth it. Okay? Think long term. Don't think short term. Don't go and try to make the quick buck. Okay? Don't try to become an overnight success. Everything, as long as it's worthwhile, takes time. Number six is probably going to be on the topic of habits and hobbies. So pursue frugal hobbies. Yeah, like if your hobby is golfing, you're gonna be spending quite a bit of money on that hobby. My hobby is playing video games on the phone, and that's free, okay? And so I don't spend any money on my hobby. My seventh tip would probably be for you to work, to get some kind of part-time job while you're not working your full-time job. And so if you're living alone, chances are your evenings are pretty free. Like you don't have a family to take care of, you're not going home to a wife. And so feel free to use those evenings to start some kind of side hustle, or you could just find another part-time job. 2-3 hours a day, right? A couple nights a week. That will make a huge difference. My 8th tip would be to find something to save towards. Don't have no reason for saving money. I was really clear that when I first moved abroad and got my job working abroad, that I wanted to save enough money to buy an apartment. And so I saved like crazy. What do I mean by that? For the first year, actually for the first 2 years, I didn't have internet in my apartment. I just relied on 4G on my phone, and it was extremely cheap. Whenever I needed internet, I would either stay later at work or I would just turn on the hotspot on my phone and connect my laptop to it. So I didn't actually need a router. I didn't actually need an internet connection at home. And then by my 3rd year, I was like, you know what? I'm in a little better spot now financially, so I can afford internet. Yay. Yeah. But in the beginning, if you really want to save money, think about whether you need internet or not. And chances are, if you have a good mobile phone plan and you have enough data, you probably don't. So my 9th tip for saving money when you're living alone is to stay healthy, right? Like eat healthy things, do healthy stuff, yeah? Because every time you go to the hospital, it's gonna cost you money. It costs money to get there. It costs you time to wait there. And oftentimes, if you have to go to the hospital because of an emergency, you're there for at least 3 hours trying to wait for a doctor or wait for treatment. And the treatment costs money. Yeah? And so if you can stay healthy, eat healthily, right? Go on a walk once in a while, hopefully more than once in a while. Then you're able to prevent health complications before they happen. And that's going to save you a lot of money. All right, the 10th and final and perhaps the most important thing that I did to meet my savings goal was to pay myself first. Living alone is different from having a family. If I have a family, my money now goes towards the family first. But if you're living alone and you don't have anybody, you can pay yourself first. Yeah? Take 10% of your paycheck. For me, it was more like 60% because it's really cheap living abroad, but that's a video for another time. I saved 60% of my income every single month. And not only did I put in a bank account, I put it in a bank account at home. So my employer gave me the choice of sending money back home, which for me is Canada, or depositing the money into a local bank account. And so I got 60% of my money sent home at the end of every month when I got paid. Yeah. And I lived on 40% of my income. And I didn't even use all of it because everything is so cheap where I am that I ended up having money left over, right? And eventually by my 3rd and 4th year, I had saved up so much money that I was just spending last year's income. And 100% of my current year income went towards that bank account back home. And I didn't need to spend any money in my bank account in Canada because I didn't live there. And so I ended up just investing that. And over 5-6 years, I managed to grow that money into $100,000, which eventually went towards a down payment for an apartment.